Thank you for watching the 2018 Fall Legislative Forums hosted by the Ashland Chamber of Commerce. I'm Cindy Bernard, past president of the Ashland Chamber of Rogue Valley Roasting Company and chair of the Chamber Legislative Committee for 2018. Moderating the discussion with me tonight is Gary Blake, welcome, General Manager of Recology Ashland, and Gary also serves on the Ashland Chamber Board of Directors. Tonight we will be introducing Mike Gardiner, the incumbent, and Tim Kelly, his opponent, for Parks Commission Position 3. Each election year, the Ashland Chamber hosts legislative forums. This year, we are also hosting forums for Ashland City Council Positions 2, 3, 4, and 6, Parks Commission Positions 4 and 5, State Senate District 3, State Representative, District 5, Jackson County Sheriff, and Jackson County Commissioners, Position 1 and 3. All candidates were sent questions prior to the forum. The forum tonight is being recorded and will air on community television, the RVTV website, and the Ashland Chamber's website, along with additional election information at ashlandchamber.com. The Ashland Chamber has many decades of long relationships within the business sector and through effective community partnerships with SOU, the hospital, and OSF, and also with the City of Ashland. We promote business in the community by providing business resources, creating events such as Festival of Life and 4th of July, and serve as a welcome center for our city. Over 700 businesses are members of the Chamber, representing thousands of employees and jobs, and hundreds of community volunteers who are engaged citizens helping to make our community better every day. We believe in collaboration and effective relationships, which we hold dear. After each candidate is introduced, they will have a 2-minute opening statement to discuss why they are running for their position and what skills and accomplishments qualify them to serve as an Oregon elected official. Following the opening remarks, candidates will be asked 3 questions with 3 minutes each to respond. A bell will ring when the candidates have 30 seconds and again at 10 seconds remaining. If there is time, they can give a 2-minute closing statement. They must adhere to this time restraint. Additionally, each candidate had to sign a consent form in order to participate. The Ashland Chamber is a private, nonprofit mutual benefit association. We require that the candidates refrain from any form of speech that includes profanity, obscenity, hate, racism, or vulgarity, or that is insulting or offensive to any ethnic, religious, political, or other identifiable group or individual as determined by the forum moderator. A violation of this rule will cause the candidate to be removed from the forum. We expect and will insist on respectful behavior. This is a forum, not a debate between candidates. If time allows, we may have follow-up questions for the candidates, in which case the candidates will have 2 minutes to respond, again using the bell system. Please note that the candidates' introductions were submitted by the candidate. And tonight we drew a number, and Tim Kelly will go first.
Okay.
Tim has been a resident of Ashland for over 20 years. And before that resided in Juneau, Alaska for 23 years. He is at heart progressive, but fiscally he can be very conservative. While in Juneau, he was employed with the Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation. While employed with the Alaska DEC, he audited state spending, overruns, and fraud during the Exxon oil spill crisis. He believes in accountability for bad budgeting decisions and feels transparency of elected officials is a must. And more importantly, citizen input is vital to a healthy democratic process. He is anxious to get to work at the Parks and Rec.
Candidate Kelly. Yes, for your opening statement, will you tell us why you are running and briefly discuss your skills and accomplishments that qualify you to serve as an Ashland Parks and Recreation Commissioner?
Okay. Unfortunately, some of these answers you're going to get were just given, but We'll give them again. I've been a homeowner in Ashland for almost 25 years, and before that for 20 years in Juneau, Alaska, where I served on the City and Borough of Juneau's Design Review Board. I'm running for commissioner because I feel it's time that local government experienced an honest reality check, even in the Parks and Rec Department. We are not the same comfortable Ashland that we were even 5 short years ago. The consequences of climate change have come home to roost, even locally, as we have witnessed the last few summers. As a result, Ashland will soon be facing some very tough spending decisions that must be made to stave off a very real financial crisis that is right around the corner. As an accountant, I have dealt with financial shortfalls before, and as a state auditor, I've studied both government spending and government waste. While employed with the Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation, I audited state spending, overruns, and fraud during the Exxon oil spill crisis, as was mentioned. It was an eye-opening experience, believe you me, and I want to utilize my experience to help our town come to terms with any and all difficult situations that might come down the pike. Another reason that I'm running is because I believe in accountability for bad budgeting decisions, and that transparency of elected officials is a must. And most importantly, I'm running because I know that citizen input is vital to a healthy democratic process. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Hi, Mike Gardiner. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you.
32 years ago, Mike's family moved to Ashland to accommodate a job transfer to Southern Oregon. Mike started his volunteer work with the city in 1996 as an appointee to the Ashland Planning Commission. In 2002, he decided to move on from the Planning Commission's quasi-judicial role and ran for a policy-making position on the Ashland Parks and Recreation Commission. He was successful with that effort and has served in that capacity, although not continuously, since 2002. He has also served on boards, commissions, and committees for the city and for Jackson County. Thank you.
Okay, candidate Gardiner, will you tell us why you are running and briefly discuss your skills and accomplishments that qualify you to serve as an Ashland Parks and Recreation Commissioner?
I will. I volunteer for this position to support the needs of the Ashland citizens. We have a somewhat unique form of representation here in the city in that the charter in 1908 formed a 5-member park commission that was developed to guide the creation of city parks and oversee the maintenance and the capital improvement budgets. 110 years later, we are still at it, and that is the main reason why I volunteer to be on Park and Recs. As far as accomplishments go, I'd like to list a few things that I've done in the years that I've served as Park Commissioner. I've been instrumental in helping to initiate and implement the APRC's integrated pest management policy that supports the reduction of chemical, pesticide, and herbicide use in our community. I supported the design and building of 2 neighborhood parks, specifically Scenic Park and Ashland Creek Park. I supported the inclusion of designated community gardens in most neighborhood parks. I have supported the policy change allowing dogs in most neighborhood parks. I've assisted in the negotiations to buy Briscoe's school playground from the Ashland School District in order to keep it to be used as a neighborhood park. I've advocated for securing property to build a second dog park at the south end of Ashland. And I have supported efforts to find a suitable option to replace our aging community pool. I've supported the expansion of Ashland's Senior Services Program to assist the aging senior population. And I have managed our city-approved parks budget with diligence and have continued to advocate for budget priorities that benefit the diverse user groups in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, candidates will begin our question session and we were going to go ahead and alternate on who starts first. So with that, we'll go ahead and address candidate Gardiner with the first question. Candidate Gardiner, can you please identify what you think will be your biggest challenge?
Well, the biggest challenge for the upcoming biennium, which is the 2019-20, 2020 biennium, will be the budget, obviously. The budget cycle eagerly starts early next year, and the APRC budget is simply part of the whole municipal budget. Every government entity in Oregon will be stretched with their PERS contribution in the coming years. This expense is going to limit, to some extent, what our goals will be for this budget cycle. The good part is we'll be able to project what we owe. The difficult part will be that it somewhat limits what we'll be able to do with what we have in our budget for the coming biennium.
Thank you.
You bet.
Candidate Kelly, same question to you. Can you please identify what you think will be your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge will be to try to help steer the commission away from old ideas and old ways of thinking and planning. We have new problems and new concerns. It is my hope that with this election, we will see new faces and new insights to both the City Council and APRC. One challenge, not the most popular, but might be to make fireworks illegal in this county. I know that might not be popular, but our area has become too dry in the summer. Even innocent items such as they sell every July in the fireworks stores are dangerous in this dry heat. Let's not forget that the car fire in Reading this year was caused by sparks coming off the metal wheel scraping against the concrete road. Now, I'm not naive. I know that as an Ashland Parks and Rec Commissioner, I don't have the power to outlaw fireworks stores in Jackson County, but as a citizen with a voice, I can find others that agree with me, and together maybe we can make something happen. To me, getting others to agree to unpopular ideas is my biggest challenge.
All right, thank you.
Can I step in with a follow-up question, just a brief one? When you brought up collaborating with other people, so for both of you, what are your experience in collaborating with different entities, different groups? Let's start with you, Mike.
As far as collaboration goes with user groups in Ashland, and that's kind of the way I look at the position on Ashland Park and Recreation, is there's several groups that come to us wanting various things, whether it's, improve the tennis courts, build me a pickleball court, let my dog walk in Lithia Park, build me a new swimming pool. I mean, there's various user groups that come to us virtually every month, and I find it best to engage the folks, and most commonly we might create subcommittees that bring in the citizens of our community to work with park commissioners or even professionals in some way, shape, or form to come up with solutions to whatever the need that is brought up. So that's the way that I collaborate with the community.
Thank you.
There's not really much more I can add to that. Both of us have been in positions where collaboration is a necessity if anything is going to get accomplished. And that's really about all I can take to that.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, for our second question then, we'll go ahead and candidate Kelly. What are the issues facing the Parks and Recreation Commission?
Well, of course, the biggest issue facing Rogue Valley citizens is wildfires produced by climate change. But this is not just some general malaise to complain about. There are some very real, specific problems connected to the summer smoke. Anyone who attended Representative Marsh's Smoke Symposium last Saturday got a taste of what we have to look forward to in the coming years. Problems with climate change on our local community can no longer be ignored. In addition to the very real cost of fighting wildfires, this phenomenon is damaging the economy of our town in ways that we have not even yet been able to even grasp. This smoky season, OSF faced a reduction of $2 million in ticket sales, and its losses rippled throughout the entire local business community, resulting in citywide shrinking of local tax revenues. We are quickly moving into an unknown territory regarding budgeting concerns. It doesn't take a brain surgeon to realize these revenue cuts will affect every corner of our local government, including Parks and Rec. We must be very aware of our spending, past, present, and future. The fact that this department and the City Council approved $230,000 in consulting fees last year to private corporation MIG in Portland to study Lithia Park seemed short-sighted at best, as are some of APRC's other recent contracting out agreements to outside agencies whose first concern is to their corporate balance sheet and not to the city of Ashland. Rogue Valley Council of Governments and Southern Oregon Center for Community Partnerships are just two of the agencies that come to mind. If elected, I will be taking a hard look at our relationship with these two firms.
Thank you. Candidate Gardiner, same question. What are the issues facing the Parks and Recreation Commission?
So I'd focus it more on our organization, and really an organization of our size faces the same things that most organizations do. What can we do? How can we best maintain what we currently have? We're always looking for best practices to help us in our to limit our maintenance budget on the facilities that we manage. And once again, we have 19 city parks, we have miles of trail, we have open space, as well as facilities that really need us to use the best practices to maintain them for the future and to minimize our budget as much as possible in the current. I would kind of speak to what Mr. Kelly spoke about regarding the hiring of a consultant firm for Lithia Park. What we're creating in Lithia Park is actually a 100-year master plan for use of that park and also for how we maintain it over the next 100 years. The expertise that a consultant brings that we don't have on our own staff or may not even exist in Southern Oregon is the reason why we would make that decision to hopefully plan today to use our dollars as wise as we can in the future. We also need to figure out ways to utilize the tight budget that we have with the various user groups that come to us. It's easy to just turn people away and say, we don't have money for that, or we don't, we can't do this or we can't do that. But really, when we do our goal setting procedure at the beginning of each biennium, we're basically taking the historical knowledge of the people that have come to us over the past couple years or maybe past decades, and to try to determine what we need most in our city and how we can best facilitate that with the budget we have. We're always looking for good qualified workers. It's getting harder and harder to find the right workers to work within our organization of close to 45 people that we have working at APRC. So and also, since the Park Commission's goals are tied with the City Council goals, we have to do our best to help the city meet the environmental goals that the city has set.
Candidate Gardiner,
Yes.
what are the opportunities for Parks and Recreation?
Several. Let me just get, I mean, literally there could be endless opportunities, but I see as the most critical opportunities for Park and Recs right now is partnering with user groups to come up with the most valuable solutions to the various issues we are facing today. For instance, working with master swimmers in Ashland School District on ways to improve our community pool options. That's an important partnership that we need to continue to foster and to utilize in our community. Another would be reaching out to donor groups and individuals that support either features or facilities that are within our parks organization. An example of that would be the Japanese garden that's in Lithia Park. We have a more generous donor that has stepped forward and is working with the Parks Foundation to expand and basically rebuild the Japanese garden in Lithia Park. And those are the kind of partnerships that we need to really foster. We also need to partner with the city. We share some facilities. We do work for each other. An example of utilizing the community assets as best we can is Pioneer Hall. It's been used for various things over the years. Right now, APRC leases that facility from the city, but we don't have complete control over it. And we are negotiating with the city right now to hopefully come to some agreement where we would have more responsibility for that and we could better utilize it for the community without having to buy it, I guess is the key there. And also partnering with both Jackson County and other user groups. Currently, we're working with the Bear Creek Greenway Foundation and Jackson County and Public Works to look for ways to extend the Bear Creek Greenway from its current terminus at the dog park there off of Nevada Street over to North Mountain Park. We can't do it on our own, but we can be an integral partner in trying to make those connections on that particular trail. So there's a lot of opportunities to work with groups, and I think that's my most important goal.
Candidate Kelly, what are the opportunities for Parks and Recreation?
I could give you a cookie cutter answer about better parks and streams, but these are different times and I won't. The opportunities for us are not opportunities of choice, they're opportunities of necessity. Prolonged exposure to smoke is dangerous. It's dangerous to the general population, but is especially dangerous to our children and our seniors. We need to be resilient and we need to adapt to these changing conditions which are here to stay. The Ashland YMCA was one of the first groups to attack this problem head on, and we have an opportunity to learn from them. We need to study the possibility of finding indoor activities for kids in the smoky months to reduce the possibility of their developing asthma. This is a very real concern that must be studied by Parks and Rec. We need to make sure that there are public buildings that have clean, filtered, healthy air circulating inside their walls, and that these clean buildings are available to the public as a place to escape to on particularly bad days. The Ashland Public Library has become one such building, but there needs to be others, and I'm glad we're talking about Pioneer Hall because that would be another one, because we do need to think outside the box. There are other opportunities, of course, as well, but we cannot take our eyes off the ball of climate change. Global warming has caused drought and wildfires throughout the entire world. 17 of the hottest years on record have occurred in this very young century. The city of Ashland and Parks and Rec need to be out in front on this issue. Dealing successful with today's new problems is easily our biggest opportunity.
All right, thank you. Any follow-up questions?
Not at this point.
Okay. Well, then we will go ahead and turn to closing remarks. And each of you will have 2 minutes for those. And we'll begin with Candidate Kelly.
Okay. I don't say this easily, but Looking to the future, I would like to see the Parks and Rec business accomplished with far more transparency and with a higher level of fiscal accountability to Ashland citizens. Mr. Gardiner, I was at the August 8th, 2017 meeting when you first informed seniors that you were moving activities out of the senior center and into the Grove. You had a jam-packed room full of shocked constituents and seniors, and you refused to take any questions, stating, and this is a direct quote, "Frankly, I made my decision before this meeting. If it wasn't for the citizen uproar beginning with the August 8th and 9th APRC meetings regarding Director Michael Black's recommendations, the senior center building would be shut down today. And with all your stated concerns at the time about making the senior center more cost-effective and generating revenue, now you're spending far more than the previous program costs without providing the same level of service to our community. There was certainly inadequate transparency with regard to how the former senior program was handled. I'm sorry, but you were the subject of a recall vote, and now you are being sued in a wrongful termination and defamation of character claim. We need to elect city officials who do not expose our city to million-dollar lawsuits and which leave a large percentage of our citizens feeling unheard and their needs unmet. I don't call that transparent, and I certainly don't call it fiscally responsible."
Thank you. So Candidate Gardiner, you will have the final 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Sure. So I guess I'd kind of like to address that, but I won't. I would like to say that the city of Ashland is important to me. The role that Ashland Park and Recreation plays in the city, I think, is ultimately important to all the citizens of Ashland. The decisions that are made at the Ashland Park and Rec Commissioner level are not always easy. They're basically there to hold our employees accountable and to do the best we can for the citizens of Ashland. I have said it before and I'll say it again, that people need to take responsibility for what they do. And I feel that I do that in every commission meeting and in every subcommittee meeting, any meeting that I'm working with the citizens, that I'm open and willing to collaborate. I will speak to the quote about not taking public input. There are public meeting laws and there's a certain protocol that is followed, and I've had several people call me out on not liking what the process is, but the fact is that APRC follows the open meeting laws, and we make our best decisions for the citizens of Ashland. Thank you.
Thank you to both of you, Tim and Mike, and tough issues out there, and I do appreciate your sharing your insights, both of you. And I'd like to say thank you to the citizens for taking the time to watch this and learn about our candidates. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.